Okay, hello there. So if you've been following the Robert Roberson's case, I'm going to share what the Texas Attorney General did, and I am praying for a petition to seek to the FBI to prosecute the Texas Attorney General for criminal act of perjury. And so here's the thing that happens a lot of times in cases is that attorney generals and DAs will lie. They just completely fabricate things that are absolutely not true. So you have a team of over 84 lawmakers who wrote the law that was presented of why he should get a new trial, and it's based on the intent of a statute for junk science statute was not being followed by the courts. So that's what they've been fighting for. That's what their hearings have been about, is because these lawmakers are sick and tired of their power, the legislative power, out of the three branches. There's judicial, there's executive, and then there's legislative. So when the lawmakers write the laws, they want the laws that they write to be applied as they intend them. So the specific intent of the statutes are being violated. So that is what they've been arguing, and that is the shaken baby syndrome, how it was being applied, just the diagnosis in general, and that was falling under the junk science statute that they were arguing to the Supreme Court. So what the Attorney General did in an attempt to fight their very valid claim that they're going to win on before the United States Supreme Court, they committed criminal acts of perjury. They, meaning the Office of Attorney General, did commit perjury by lying and completely changing the facts. Not only did this, he went to the media with lies and attacked Robert Roberson in hopes to attack the support that he has garnered socially and in the media. So I am begging you, if you see this video, please share this. Because you know how people are in the media, especially when it comes to a baby, and the lies that are being presented here can actually attack his support. And so that was the effect. But I'm begging people, not just for that sake, but because we have a tyrant in office who is harming people, who's doing injustice to people. Think about all the people who are sitting in prison for different types of charges who are innocent, because you have corrupt officers, you have corrupt DAs, you have corrupt attorney generals who lie. So what they did, this is what the lawmakers did, is they drop a 27-page rebuttal against the Texas Attorney General and bold-facedly called the Attorney General a bold-faced liar, point by point. And this isn't just arguments that they're arguing over. This is like this Attorney General needs to be prosecuted. So I think what needs to happen next is people sign a new petition to get the Attorney General prosecuted by the feds for corruption of office. Because when he is using his power and fabricating things, that's when that draws the line. Any attorney who falsely, knowingly presents something under the Federal Civil Procedure penalty of perjury, he puts in pleadings things that he knows are not true, then he can be prosecuted and lose his license. So here's there's misrepresentations. There's 12 of them, and they are so horrific. And what is so sad is that this Attorney General is using his office by going to the media, bearing the seal of the state of Texas, by giving outright attack on this man with bold-faced lies, attacking him. And I pray that somebody helps this man sue the Attorney General for defamation, because he is saying things to the media. To the media. He wasn't just arguing something in a pleading and then taking it to the court. It would have been different if the Attorney General just filed something in the court and the media went to the court and got a copy of it. No. He did a press release because he's like trying to basically defend his position because he's a tyrant. So here we go. Misrepresentation number 1. The Office of Attorney General has released to the public the autopsy report of Mr. Roberson's child, Nikki, implying that it is a definitive, ignoring all the 2002 trial and a 2021 evidentiary hearing testimony identifying material flaws in the report. So that's deception by omission. Misrepresentation 2. This is outright bold-faced perjury. The Attorney General falsely claims that she was brought to the hospital close to death with extensive bruising to her chin, her face, her ears, her eyes, her shoulder, and mouth. And no one at the trial ever testified that there were any bruises all over Nikki's body. The DA didn't present that to the jury. The jury has spoken under penalty of perjury before the legislators the other day, stating that at no time did anybody in the trial claim that that child was beat, that all of it was about being shaken, and even used a baby doll to demonstrate how it was shaken to cause the injury to her brain. Never once did anybody say that he struck that child. So this is all made up, and even the former Texas Court of Criminal Appeals judge testified with these legislators that these people are definitely changing the narrative. They're completely changing what the trial was about, what the case was about. No one testified ever that there were bruises. Yet this Attorney General went to the media and released these false claims as if the state ever accused him of this. And they're trying to make up basically new charges. So if he wins on a trial, they're going to try to recharge him with a completely new narrative. But this is a misuse of justice, and this governor needs to stand up against this Attorney General. He cannot go along with this nonsense. This is horrible what they're doing in the state of Texas. Boldly. When everybody can access the public record. Everybody heard the juror. Everybody heard the juror testify that this Attorney General is lying through his teeth. This Attorney General and the DA, they're lying. The juror, she was there the whole trial. Okay, this trial has haunted her for decades. Misrepresentation number 3. He invokes the authority of the emergency room nurse, Andrea Sims, claiming she saw Nikki before the medical intervention, testified at trial that in addition to the bruising, Nikki had a handprint on her face and the back of her skull was bruised and mushy. See document for more details. None of that was true. Misrepresentation number 4. Falsely claims that he was abused by her father and died due to the trauma he inflicted, invoking imaginary countless hours of testimony that is entirely missing from the trial transcripts. Read the transcripts. The evidence manufactured for trial from a handful of impaired and traumatized witnesses related to Roberts' estranged girlfriend, Teddy Cox, is all the state could adduce. There's no record whatsoever anywhere of violent acts in Roberts' extensive social history records. None. I've even seen this on YouTube where there are people are talking about this and just like, okay, for these people who do not actually go and read the records, okay, stop. You're literally cursing your own life when you lie on somebody or even share a lie that somebody else told. So if somebody's going to present what they know about a case, they should present the records, right? The reports, if they're going to say something. So anyways, these legislators have the records. They have the transcripts. They have the testimony. They've spoke to the jurors. They have one juror even testified. The OAG wrongly claims the doctors at trial testified that Nikki died from substantial blunt force head injuries that clearly indicated the girl had been struck. Nobody testified to that, ever. Not one person. And precluded the possibility that the child died from baby being shaken. This juror testified that not ever, not 1 ounce did they even mention that he had anyway struck this child. And so that's what the transcripts also show, was consistent with what the juror testified to. The OAG falsely claims that Dr. Jill Urban, the medical examiner who performed the autopsy on 2-year-old corpse, testified during the trial using photographic evidence that Nikki's head had been repeatedly struck, leaving clear impact wounds totally incompatible with merely being violently shaken. That did not happen. This is how desperate the Attorney General is to just make stuff up. These are lawyers. These are 84 lawmakers are binded together as one unit. And they're bipartisan. They're Democrats, they're Republicans, they're of all ethnicities, and they are binded together, and they will not be broken. And they are standing up to this governor. They are standing up to this Attorney General said, and they're saying, you will not lie on this man or anyone else. And if he does it to this man, how many other people is he doing it to? This man must be removed from power in the name of Jesus. Misrepresentation number 7. The OAG falsely claims Roberson repeatedly changed his story during the investigation and trial about what. And I've seen this. I was doing a live stream, I was in a live stream. Somebody even commented about how he confessed. No, he never did. I'm so sorry that you've allowed your spirit to be deceived and you're just going around parroting lies. Okay? If you have not read the transcripts and you're just parroting somebody that thinks they know something, well, the transcripts are available if you want to read them. They're pretty lengthy, though. But, yeah. Nowhere did that happen. Okay, so saying he changed his story during the investigation and trial about what happened, his statements were actually remarkably consistent. And then you have the investigator who went to the prison on video and begged for this man's forgiveness. Begged him for his forgiveness for accusing him because he thought because the way he acted was odd. He acted suspicious. Come to find out, he's autistic. But they knew that he had cognitive issues because he was a special needs child since he was a kid, right? Anyways, misrepresentation number 8. The OAG relies on psychologists retained by defense counsel at trial for the punishment phase to argue that Robert confessed. No, he didn't to Shaky Nicky. Even as the state argues incoherently, this was not. This is a good point that they're making, though, that they're saying that he confessed to shaking her, while they're saying this wasn't a shaken baby case at all. I'm just like, I mean, out of one mouth, on one side of their mouth they say this, and the other side of their mouth they say that. I mean, this is just how desperate they are. Misrepresentation number 9. The Office of Attorney General asserts absent evidence that Robert had over a dozen prior arrests. No, he didn't. The state should look back at the trial record as well as its own direct appeal brief, which identifies arrests for 1, burglary, 2, writing hot checks, and he was probably manipulated into taking plea deals on those because he had cognitive issues, and a probation violation. A hot check, and I think he broke into somebody's house that he knew or something like that, took some stuff or something like this, whatever the accusation was. He pled guilty without incident, but they probably, I don't know, maybe he did do them, and because I don't seen any interview on whether or not he was manipulated to take those pleas, because a lot of people are, but nonetheless, whatever. But that's it. I've seen somebody even say that he had 17 convictions. I'm like, oh my gosh. People, stop spreading lies. Anyways, he had absolutely no accusations, arrests, or criminal charges for any violence before he was falsely accused of hurting naked. I've even had people say that he had 17 domestic charges against a woman or some crazy nonsense like that. And it's all lies. They're doing a smear campaign. It wouldn't surprise me if this Attorney General isn't hiring bots and trolls to go online, like, use all these multiple accounts, these bot accounts, or just, people that don't make content and just go online and just spread misinformation. Yes, they do that. Oh, you better believe that, dude, especially when it comes to politics. Yeah. So the stuff I'm seeing being smeared is like, it's just coming out of left field. It's not even making any sense. There's no evidence of it. None. It's just made up because he's getting a lot of support, and it's pulling back the curtains, and it's showing how they're railroading people. And guess what? They need to get more momentum, because it's not just about Robert. It's about many people, because you know darn well if they're doing it to Robert, how many other people they're doing it to, right? He's been a model inmate for the past 22 years since his arrest. There's never, let's say it again, Robert absolutely had no accusations, arrests, or criminal charges for any violence before he was falsely accused of hurting this baby girl. Misrepresentation number 10 involves the punishment phase testimony of Robert's ex-wife, Della Gray, who spun a string of alarming tales about a coat hanger and a fireplace shovel and a broken nose, none of which is supported by any contemporaneous medical, police, or court records. So meaning, she testified, there was no police report, there was never any report prior to his trial, there was no medical, there was no court records, there was nothing, right? They just manipulated her to testify in a certain way. There was no police report. Nothing. Anyways, misrepresentation number 11. The most egregious lie is a statement suggesting that an unidentified cellmate, here we go, jailhouse snitch, claimed he had sexually assaulted Nikki, providing a pornographic and completely baseless report that amounts to no more than profoundly disturbing prosecutorial misconduct. This calumny was not put before the jury. So why would they have not used that cellmate during that time? They're just making stuff up, claiming that this is what happened. They're just making stuff up. So people that are not familiar with the case, like if this is a first time going before a judge that's never seen it before or whatever, what happens is they'll read the AGs, and they'll just skim through the record. But it's like, if they don't really vehemently deny, and I think they need to do more than this. They need to prosecute this man. They need to file a petition that this man has done things in violation of attorney ethics. No, you don't get to just make stuff up. No, you don't. That's actually criminal. Don't let anybody think different. It is criminal. Anyways, there's only one possible reason the prosecution would fail to introduce at trial the importance of highly inflammatory claims, because they didn't believe their own snitch and realized his allegations was false, motivated by his express request for help from prosecutors in getting a reduction of his sentence, which can be found in the DA's file. Right? I'm like, you can't just bring stuff out that wasn't even used at trial. It's just lies. Misrepresentation number 12. Incorrectly asserts now a coalition of activists at state legislators is interfering with the justice system in an unprecedented way in an attempt to stall or prevent his execution. They have attempted to mislead the public by falsely claiming that he was unfairly convicted through junk science concerning shaken baby syndrome, and obviously ignored the concrete evidence contained in the massive pleadings that Mr. Roberson has filed and developed since 2016, not suddenly now. Mr. Roberson has more than established his right to relief under Texas' acclaimed change science law. So, this when Attorney General just makes stuff up that can be proven as bold-faced lies, they desperate. So I ask for people to pray for this Attorney General to, 1, repent, because he has cursed his soul by knowingly lying and making stuff up, defaming a man anew, as if the harm they already did in trying to take his life wasn't enough. 2, by attacking the power of the legislative branch, trying to usurp the power over the legislators who have the right when they pass laws, and their intent is whenever they pass laws, they have studies, they have specific conversations, they discuss what the purpose of the law is, why it's needed, and they discuss the specific intent of a statute. So when that intent is completely ignored and then that statute is used to do or not being applied as it should be, legislators have the right to stand up and bind together and say, hey, we are sick and tired of, we've been voted into office by the people to write laws that protect people, or whatever their laws they're writing, and then when courts and law enforcement and DAs and whoever is in power in the judicial system is just trampling on our laws that we have written, we have a right to stand up and say, you cannot do this. And this is a power struggle between branches, between the legislative and the judicial. And the legislatives are repeatedly, systematically, across our nation, is often trampled on. It happens in so many different laws that is just either, well, I don't agree with that law, so I'm not going to enforce it through the police force, or just misquoting the law. It is just so intent. A lot of times it's on purpose. If they don't agree with the law, they're just not going to enforce it. Or they'll just rewrite the law to be what they want it to be. It happens all the time. And these legislators have said, we're sick of it. And you are not going to take this man's life for, not applying the law as we have requested it to be, and just ignore us and just act like we have no power and that we can just write laws and then they're just going to do whatever they want. We're sick of it. We're sick of it. We're sick of it. We're sick of it. I have never, ever in my whole life have I seen this amount of unity between both parties and across ethnicities in this team of human beings, God bless them, who are just standing up in power of unity and saying you can't corrupt the law like this.
you are bound to the law as well. And so I am begging people, whatever you think of this man right here, I want you to look at all the people that could be somebody that you love. If they're doing it to him, look past his face, cover his face up, and put somebody else's face there, and somebody that you love. Because if they're doing it to him, they'll do it to anybody they want and are. So please consider that when you want to make your opinion about this case. And I'm begging you to just hear both sides, at the very least, if you have not considered what these people are presenting. Because if you have not listened to that committee and that hearing that they had the other day, I want you to please, I beg you to please listen to the juror who testified. Listen to her and listen to what she said happened in that trial. And what this attorney general is saying, she said he's lying. Shouldn't you listen to the juror? Because she was there.